Hello everybody, welcome to this edition of the Coaching Conversation. In this series, we're looking to help business owners, business leaders see how coaching can help them and their teams be the people they want to be, achieve the things they really want to achieve in their life. We also aim it at fellow coaches. What we're really looking to do is to show them our experiences and hope that that inspires them and helps them develop their own skills and practices. I'm Graham Wiley. I've been coaching business leaders and business owners around the world for the last 2 decades. Nothing more to say now other than get ready, get comfortable. Here comes this edition of the Coaching Conversation. I had a really unusual request last week, which got me thinking. A client that we worked with for, it's measured in decades now, I guess, came on and asked if we thought our coaching programs could be adapted to help him and some of his senior team who are approaching retirement. And whilst I'd never really thought about it in that context, I started to reflect and thought, you know what? I think we probably can help. The interesting thing about retirement, if you move away the question of money and can I afford to retire, and if I can I afford to live the kind of life I choose to, or do I really need to keep working in one form or another? If you remove that question, and on the assumption that money isn't the problem, you start to reflect on just what is retirement going to be. And so, having reflected on it, as I say, I went back to the client and was chatting it through and started to believe that actually there was a really neat way of helping him and his fellow team members to start to prepare themselves for life after work. And I suppose some of the really interesting aspects of this as a coach is that really it's no different to whether someone's at the beginning of their career, the middle of their career and going through a major change and development program, to when they're facing yet another change, which is to be leaving what is a career so far and taking on another phase of life. And so in shaping it up, I began to put together some thoughts as to the kinds of questions, the kinds of inquiry, the kinds of frameworks a coaching program might take to help people as they begin to think about life after work. And so the kinds of matters that came up were, are you running away from work, or are you positively, actively running into retirement? And whilst that's a glib question, what sits behind it is, do you have things you really want to go and do but have never had the time, and you can now choose to do them in retirement? Or is it that you're just burnt out, tired, fed up with work and you just want to bury it and then move on? Because that's a different start point, clearly. If you've already got a list of things that you really want to spend your time doing, the work of the coach isn't that difficult. You know, what are they? How are you going to do it? What do you need to do between now and then to be ready? Is there a transition phase? Are you working part-time before you fully give up? And blah, 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 blah. That's a relatively straightforward coaching initiative. But if somebody's in a different frame of mind and they're tired and they're just looking to give up work and they haven't yet thought through fully what that then means, what are they going to do with their time, then I think it's really a challenge for a coach Because the thing about work, as you approach retirement, for decades, for the vast majority of your adult life, it's been one of the centerpieces of everything that you have done, everything that you are, and all your hopes and aspirations have been bound up largely in your work. And suddenly that's not going to be there. And I know you can summarise it in it's a reason to get out of bed and so on and so on. But that's true, but it's deeper and more profound than that. And certainly in my own personal experience, in my own personal life, I've seen friends and family members who have literally given up work and then thought, now what? And it's been a fairly lengthy and not inconsiderable disruption to adapt to this new world. And bear in mind, often if you're married or you've got a serious partnership, then that impact on you impacts them too. And so the more you're adjusting, the more you're coming to terms with it, so are they. And so I started to think about, as I said, what would I be doing to help someone who's definitely going to give up work but doesn't yet know what they want to do. And I started to think about some of the really clever, almost profound sayings that I'd heard from people who'd been asked to think about these things themselves. And Michael Palin said something once which really registered with me, and I thought it was a really lovely phrase. When asked about retirement and his view on retirement, and the guy's well into his 70s now, I believe, he said, retirement for me is about doing what I love, but less of it. And so I could see what that meant. I related to that instantly. And then there was Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney was asked a few years ago when he was going to retire. And his answer was, retire? Retire from what? You know, the reflection of that is, I'm doing what I love. I would do this whether I was being paid for it or not. What am I retiring from? And so when you start to latch on to what's the theme between those two quotes is, what is it you like doing? What are the things you value? What are the things that are important to you? Can you focus on them? Can you name them? Can you describe them? Are they related to the things that you're really good at? Are they related to some kind of sense of purpose? And when I got to that point, I started to think, how could I help this person or these groups of people start to answer some of those questions? And so I started to frame it from a different kind of way and said to them, what would you like your legacy to be? So you're coming to the end of your life and you're looking back and you're deciding what was important to you. You can probably describe about your working life what that was, but what about your retirement life? I mean, it could be a quarter of your life easily. So what would you choose for your legacy to be in that period of your life? And it might be very personal things. It might be family, it might be grandchildren, it might be travel. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. What matters is, can you name it? Can you describe it? And perhaps another way of asking that very similar question is, if you were preparing for your funeral, sounds very depressing, but nonetheless, if you were preparing for your funeral and your best friend was going to read a eulogy, what would the things be? What would the words be you'd like him or her to mention? I know it sounds a bit morbid, but the point is you're helping this person begin to identify what matters to them. And that can then be the platform on which you begin to build. So if this is what matters, what are the sorts of things that contain this? So perhaps someone wants to do something that makes a difference to other people. So does that mean working in a charity? Does that mean doing something like working for the Samaritans? Do either of those two things mean you need to do some studying, some learning, some training, get a qualification? Perhaps it means you want to do something, you want to achieve. I want to write a book. So how are you going to do that? As a coach, how would you help someone prepare to and even begin to write a book? Well, the questions would be, what kind of book? Is it a novel? Is it an autobiography? Is it a factual reference book? What is it? Is it a comedy? Is it serious? What is it? And then you can go forward. What sort of subject matter? When are you going to write it? How many pages a day are you going to write? When do you think you're going to get it finished? Are you going to self-publish? You don't know about publishing, so how are you going to find out about publishing? And so on and so on and so on. And so as you start to help them coalesce around the things that really matter, the things that are important, you can help them build a job list. You can help them build a work program. You can help them begin to think about and plan and put in action what they're going to do with their life after work. And as you start to work with them, it becomes increasingly more important to them as they get nearer and nearer to retirement, or put another way, as the excitement, the interest, the energy of being able to do these things in retirement replaces the energy, the commitment that they're currently and have historically given to their career. So coaching someone, helping someone prepare for retirement, it's all about the future, which sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? It's all about what you're going to do now then. And it's got nothing to do with whether they're physically fit. It's got nothing to do with whether they've got lots of money. It's got nothing to do with burning ambitions to travel the world, because all of those can be brought into context of what's the priority things for them to be doing and they're choosing to do in their retirement. So, as I said, I was reflecting on this and discussing it with my client, and basically we both became really excited about the prospect of doing this for him and his team. And I could see the relevance of this, and it's not really different to any other kind of executive coaching, except it's pretty well targeted on people in a certain demographic. So, coaching people for retirement. There you have it. See you again soon. So, there you have it. That was the latest edition of the Coaching Conversation. Hope it was useful. Hope it did what it was meant to do for you. If you want any more information about our coaching practice, it's at the executivemindset.co.uk. While you're there, you can book your own free session, which will give you a much deeper insight to what coaching can really do for you. If you enjoyed the session, please give us a good rating. And if you want to reach out for further information, do email me at theexecutivemindset@sagegreen.com. That's about it for this time, and look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.